Hi, I'm Heather from Here Booktubes, and today is May anticipated releases. These are very particular to me and books that I actively want to read, and so that's what they are. Sorry if you can hear lawn mowers or weed whackers or any of the things. You can kind of anticipate hearing that from now to like October in my videos, because just somebody is always doing yard work. If it's not one neighbor, it's another. It's a problem. I don't know what to do about it. So I'm going to go in chronological order of how I think things are coming out. Some of these have dates. They are all guaranteed May basically, but not all of them have dates, but most of them do. So let's get started. Our first one is Bad Guy, which is a science fiction romance by Ruby Dixon. This is a collab series with Kati Wilde, who has Evil Twin, and Ella Goode, who has Bad Girl. So Ella Goode's Bad Girl is already available, and it is a contemporary. It has a content warning for cancer. I believe her mother died of cancer, and because of that, somehow it's, you know, his business's fault or something like that. So she is determined to take the CEO down, and she doesn't care what he does about it or to convince her that he's a good guy or that he kisses great or any of the things. She's gonna take him down. So that's already available. And then Bad Guy by Ruby Dixon is a sci-fi. He's a gladiator. It came out May 1st, so it's also already available. She's his prize, but she wants nothing to do with him, I think is how this works. It's Ruby Dixon. I like gladiator style romances depending on the amount of power and abuse, you know, that happens. But I kind of like that setup, so I'm excited for it. And then Evil Twin by Kati Wilde, honestly to me sounds the most interesting. It is pre-order for June 30th, but it's actually coming out on May 15th. She can't change the pre-order without it being a problem on Amazon. His brother is the crown prince because he was born 4 minutes after him, and he is going to pretend to be his brother and take his brother's bride and put a baby in her, and when she has a baby with him, then he'll like be the ruler or something like that. And I think it sounds super interesting. I like Kati Wilde. I like her like alpha fantasy romances, and this is, I believe, a fantasy world, and I think that sounds really interesting. All of these should be like novellas and around the 100-page mark, so that's always a good time because just like I love short books. Then on May 18th, I have In His Possession, Bought by a Black Mafia Prince by B. Love. This is a streetlit book by Ask Specifically, and the author told me that there is a happily ever after, so you should expect violence and some grit and some darker themes, but there is a happily ever after, which is not true for all streetlit as far as I can tell, but this one has enough of a romance, the romance gets a happily ever after. So he's an alpha he's an alpha mafia boss of like the Black Mafia, and he wins her in a poker game in order to protect her, but she's been abused and used and doesn't trust him. And when she's finally ready to trust him, then her past comes back and is going to create a whole slew of problems for them, and there's going to be violence and all sorts of things. I like B. Love. I read some of her books that I feel like might have indicated what I'm getting into, but also this might go further than those. I'm not exactly sure what level of bad times I'm getting into, but I do really enjoy her writing. I think that the Black Mafia and the setup and the premise sound really interesting, so I'm excited for it. Then she has not released a date for this, but she did say that it is going to be in May. Alexandra Warren has Can't Catch Me. It's a football romance, and he's an NFL player. He's a linebacker, so I'm kind of hoping we get a little bit of a stocky hero. And he's been a linebacker for 6 years. And when he finds out that his best friend, used to be best friend, has moved back and they see each other and they're attracted to each other, they're gonna have a romance. But like he doesn't want to settle down, and we don't know what their blow up was about, at least from the synopsis. And like her entire life has fallen apart, and that's why she has to move back home. And the sparks fly and all the things happen and they're like very attracted to each other. And I really enjoy Alexandra Warren's books that I've read. I've read a handful of them, loved them. It's childhood best friends fall apart to lovers, and I'm excited. I feel like it sounds really good because it's an author that I really enjoy. So, you know, I'm not huge on second chance romances, but the fact that they fell out as friends when they were younger and didn't date, as far as I know, I feel like will create less angst and all of that. Then on May 20th, Lure, which is 3rd Street Conjure Boys, #2 by Nikki and Clarke, is coming out. Now, I have not read the first one. I just found out about it because I saw her post that this book was coming out. So, from what I can tell, they are like gods walking as men or amongst men. They're like reincarnations of gods or something. There's something where if they find their goddess, the one, their mate, whatever, they can then get their full powers. So the first one, like, none of them believe that they would find them, and he does. And then this one that's coming out, she's like been abused and he can't fix it as a god, so he like has to like do it through his humanity because his god has like abandoned him or something. And she's like completely withdrawn into her goddess and stuff. I don't know. What I do know is that Nikki Clarke has very interesting, very unique takes on the paranormal books that I've read. I've read 3 of her books. One I adored, one I liked, and one I was like, eh. But every single one of them had something that was just not something I see all the time. That was a very unique take on it, and I like that. I like when people take the paranormals that we know and do a twist on it. And so I don't know exactly what to expect, but I do think that it will be a fun time. Then on May 25th, Dream Spinner, which is Dream Team #3 by Kristen Ashley, is coming out. And this is all the strippers at this, I don't remember the name of it, but the strip club that is like prominent throughout Kristen Ashley's series. It's like this whole group of strippers and they're getting together with this whole group of commandos. We know that that's going to be what all the pairings in the series are. We already know what the pairings are because of the prequel novella. And she, I think, was abused in a way where her father demanded perfection. She was like a ballerina, and I think she has a lot of trauma around that. And we saw some of that in the previous book. We saw a scene with her where she like had a meltdown a little bit about not getting something exactly perfect. And I'm a little nervous for her book. Because I don't want to read about people being sad. But also, like, I read a lot of Kristen Ashley, and even when she makes me cry, I do love her books. She really does make me care about the characters. And so I think for this one, I am going to wait until my library gets it. But I do plan on reading it. And they're a good time. Then, sometime in May, probably in the 20s, that usually seems to be the pattern, Jessica Gadziala will be releasing Malcolm, which is Next Generation Henchman #2. I've not yet read the first in the series, but all of her books can be read as standalones. A lot of times, if I plan on reading the first book, I don't go ahead and read them out of order. But if I plan on skipping books, then I do read them out of order. I do plan on reading the first in this series, but I might just read this one first. I don't know. I do know that it's Motorcycle Club and it is Jessica Gadziala, and I like it. So I'm excited. She may or may not have other projects, but this one is definite in May. Then I have Lured, which is Tribes #3 by Milana Jax. This is May 29th. This is alien, over-the-top smut. I read the first one. Need to get to the second. I would like to get to this third one pretty close to it coming out. So they are over the top. The Tribes in the first one like so many things I was like embarrassed about. I was just like, what are we doing? Oh my gosh. And it was like all funny things, but also I was just like, oh no. I don't know. It was very interesting. Very, very over the top. Completely different alien species who works differently, thinks differently, and unsuspecting human females who crash land. It's a lot. Basically, though, they don't have any women, and so each and every woman who crash lands is a prize. I don't know exactly what the third one is about, but I know I'm probably going to read it. Because I'm probably gonna read the whole series. Because when you just want something wild and wacky, Milana Jax delivers in like a smutty, over the top, did not see that part coming way. And sometimes you just need that. And then lastly, on May 31st, A History of Violence, which is a dark, reverse harem, serial killer bully romance by Malloy Fox is coming out. And I just think it looks very interesting. I don't know what to tell you. It's serial killers, it's reverse harem. I just kind of want to read it. Let me read you the synopsis for this one. I've never read this author before, so this is the only author on my list actually that I haven't read before. He was supposed to die, but now I have him where I want him. I can't help but taste him a little. All of them. They've gotten under my skin, these secret heart boys. The way they look at me, a need, a hunger clawing inside. I recognize in the mirror it's their eyes. They tell me they don't give a fuck if they live or die, that I'm the prey and they're the carnivores, that they are soulless. But in the end, they all beg, violent, bloody, and raw, because I'm the real monster. They just don't know it yet. So I think that they are bullying her, not realizing that she's a serial killer. And I don't know if they're serial killers too. Obviously, they must be okay with some level of violence in order to interest her. But I'm just like, female serial killer, reverse harem, yes, give it to me. It kind of reminds me of the one by S.T. Abbey, which I have not read yet, but I feel like the premise is really similar. And I like the cover. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, I've never read her, but I think it sounds good. So here we are. All right, that's all my May releases. Not a ton. I do try to update on my Instagram stories when a book that I'm excited for comes out, or I find out the book that I'm excited for is coming out, because I do read mostly indie authors, and so sometimes you find out when it's there or like the day before. So I do try to update that in my Instagram stories, but you can follow me there if you want to see things I'm excited for. If you just want to see what I'm reading, Goodreads is the only place to see all of it. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if there is a release that you're really excited for in May. I would love to hear about it. Thank you. Bye.